Hi guys, this is Lee. Welcome to Nursery, a podcast from Ohio's creative voice. If you listen to the band Third Class that I'm heavily involved with and heavily rotate on this podcast, I have news for you. We have two shows in March of 2016. March 12th, Cedars Lounge, Youngstown, Ohio, Steel Street, $5, 10 p.m. Third Class, Jordan Morgan Lansdowne, Sherry Streeter, DePrater Kearns. Sunday, March 13th, Beachland Tavern, Cleveland, Ohio, 7 p.m., $10. Clevelanders, this is a shout out for you. We want you at our show Sunday night. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be us with the aforementioned bands and a band called Listen Little Man, local legends. Could I do any more alliteration from Cleveland, Ohio? So again, that's March 12th in Youngstown, March 13th in Cleveland, thirdclass.net for the deets. You can get tickets for that Cleveland show as well, and I really encourage you to. We are the underdogs in this situation. We want to make it a good time, guys. Come on out and see us. We don't do full band very much, and it would be great to see your cute face. This podcast is sponsored by Speaking of Music. Check them out on YouTube. They talk about music of yesterday and today. They're a podcast. And we're sponsored by the Orange Avocado. They do raw, vegan, gluten-free desserts and coming soon, cold-pressed juice. I highly recommend another Youngstown, Ohio podcast called Almost Facts. I'm going to be a guest on their show, and they're going to be a guest on Nursery at some point. Lastly, my last plug is for the very guest on this episode, Downlows. Murad Shorrab is a prominent member of this band, DOWNLOWS. Find them all caps on Facebook. They have a release March 25th. All right, guys, thanks for listening to Nursery, and let's get on to Murad. I'm not going to get on Murad. Let's get on to the interview with him about Downlows and other things. That sounds like a morning dove. Doesn't that sound like a morning dove? I miss my true calling as a bird caller. My true bird calling? Who knows? It's a funny play on words. Hi guys, welcome to Nursery, a podcast from Ohio's creative voice. My name's Lee.
Hi, I'm Murad.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about whatever we feel like. Murad, you have some musical stuff coming up, right? You want to tell the listeners about it?
Yeah, so I have a new project called Downlows. I'm working with Jesse Martin, Sandy Quatson, and Sam Austin. It comes out on March 25th. And we recorded it ourselves at our own recording studio in Boardman called Cove Sounds, which we'll also be having an open house for on the same day, March 25th.
And just to clarify for listeners, you said that the Downlows? Downlows, so is it all one thing?
All one word, all uppercase.
Okay, awesome. And then in previous projects, I know you from the past from first starting out doing stand-up comedy, which was awesome. And actually, my pug, Jeremy, I saw your sister, and she said, she was like, did you name him because of Murad's bit? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, he used to do a bit. This guy knows Jeremy.
This motherfucker knows Jeremy.
Yeah. And and that had not crossed my mind, but I still kind of credit you because subconsciously I think Peppy liked that name when it came up in our ideas because him and Steve quote your stuff still sometimes. It's funny. It's
that's not a popular name, so
it's like a human name for a dog.
It's adjacent,
obviously.
At least. Okay,
right. But I think it had some influence. I got to credit because I feel like I had some influence.
That's probably the best thing that I ever did with my stand-up.
With your stand-up, right? No, but I always liked what I saw, and I wish I would have caught more while it was happening. But anyways, to get off that, you went from stand-up to music.
music. And so I know you from, you played bass in the Zoo, then you played some bass and vocals in the Zoo.
We go even, I see you
further back.
You forget about this, though.
Right.
You forget about, high school years.
Yes.
Boardman and East Palestine might as well have been on like different ends of the country.
Yeah.
But we played in a punk show together in East Palestine one night.
That was 2003? No,
dude. Before then.
Yeah, you're right.
Like
way back.
Early 2000s or late 90s. We both played in a
And where
show together.
where do you think it was? Do you think it was like at an American Legion or something? One of those kind of places?
I thought it was in a church basement.
Okay. Because I was thinking we played a thing called Punk Rock Prom with Sam from Sam Goodwill, who played drums in a metal band that night. The same night as the first Nouveau. 2003 Valentine's Day.
It's before then.
Okay.
It's before then.
Basement. Like, not my basement, right?
I thought it was a church basement, but it could have been an American Legion.
Oh, okay. So it might have been like a VFW downstairs or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And what band were you playing in at that time?
I was either playing with Just Add Water or Welfare Warriors.
Okay, so it was one of those weird shows where there were like 5 bands booked or more, right?
More.
Yeah.
Like, I want to say it started at 6 and ended at 12.
Right. Okay, that makes sense that like we wouldn't have known. See, yeah, I did forget about that
I went to your prom.
Yeah, that's what I remember because I went and checked my prom video back and you were on it, and I was like, "Whoa, man, we didn't know." Yeah, that's amazing because you went. Yeah, so we have that history from way back,
right.
But then you personally transitioned from stand up to
back into music.
Rather. Yeah, you're right. And then you played bass and vocals in the Zoo, bass and vocals in Sleep Projections, and now bass and vocals in the Downlows?
No,
just Downlows.
Yeah, just
Gotcha.
Downlows. Yeah.
So, yeah, listeners, keep an eye out for that March 25th. I will make sure this podcast is out before then so you have an idea. And you're saying watch, like, Facebook and watch, like...
So,
stuff like
we've already started announcing stuff because it's coming out on DESKPOP Records.
Okay.
Which is that cool net label that Jesse's on.
Right.
Also, check out Floor Baba. He's in the project. He's on his way back from New York right now, actually.
He played a show?
In Manhattan, yeah. It's easier for him in electronic music to book shows in New York and Detroit than it is to book one in Youngstown. That's a true story.
Oh, my God, I'm sure. Plus, there's those weird virtual shows once in a while, right, where they're like... You come into a chat room.
The weird thing about those weird virtual shows, Lee, is so I've been to like 3 or 4 of them, and so you're just streaming your face the whole time. I went to one of Jesse's shows. I was there the whole time, and he had no idea I was there. There were so many people.
Right, I did that too, but I don't think my face was involved in whatever it was. But it was it was like that, and I was impressed because I was like. I'm sure it's not low overhead to have electronic, but at a certain point it becomes very easy, like you said, to book things. And even regardless, like you're saying New York, because there's a bigger scene, obviously.
He tried to get on some Thursday show at like the Federal and got to run around.
Exactly. Right.
It's real interesting to see. So Downlows is in that similar respect where in the bands that we were in before, our role instrumentally sort of like limited what we did. So we came at it from more of a producer standpoint. One of our life goals was to have a practice space that wasn't somebody's basement or wasn't a warehouse somewhere or in a living room. Yeah. So we moved from the west side to Boardman last May, and then have slowly been building that up. And then when we partnered with Sam Austin, who is a recording graduate from YSU, we set up shop there, and so they've been recording other things, but once a week we've been getting in there, and our practices are immediately recorded. So
that's fun.
It sort of changes what we do. I mean, to be honest, this is the least amount of bass and most amount of singing I've done on any project.
Well, that's fun, because what I would imagine you're describing kind of has to do with like a few like. Trying to make like rock and maybe pop or whatever and electronic share the same backyard, kind of where you're just kind of like you're doing more on the side of Floor Baba. If listeners don't know, go check that out. We're talking about basically like electronic, like stuff that's like all original, not so much DJing, more conceptually electronic stuff. These
people are fantastic, at the very least, fantastic recording engineers.
Right.
But in Jesse's case, his keyboarding is really, really come
Good
along.
writing.
I mean,
good,
he's bored with guitar now, which just makes me sick in my stomach that you can be so good at an instrument that you get bored with it.
But now your involvement with him and the other people you mentioned, are you trying to meld rock and electronic, or is it more on the electronic side?
Also, definitely the least rock album I've done.
Okay, so it's closer to that side of
Yeah,
things.
we, I mean, so you're particularly blessed working with family and best friends.
Right.
But playing music and in general working with people is not always easy.
It's hard.
Yeah, it can be hard.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about this is we wanted to do stuff that we had fun doing. And in a lot of respects was sort of genreless, because that really ties you down to a certain guitar sound or a certain, I don't know, composition style.
Yeah.
So I would say if you take out the word rock and insert like "We Wish We Were Michael Jackson,"
Okay,
you're
yeah,
starting
so
to
it's
get more than I
poppy.
do.
Yeah, well, that's a fun thing to do, because if you're on more of the recording and writing side of things, and then you're supposed to parlay that into making it easier to book shows later, if possible.
Yeah.
That's a great plan, because even me, like you said, with friends and family, we have a hard time. We had about 6 or 7 rehearsals before our first full band show in months a couple nights ago, and we still sucked. Like, it was like, even after all that, with like all the easiest like scheduling with friends and family, and being like, we could totally just having our own set up practice room at my mom's house.
Yeah.
But like that
Are
kind
you
of
guys
thing.
practicing at your mom's house?
Yeah, we're back there again. For some reason, that works best for us, because then Peppy and I get transplanted out of the Youngstown area, and we're only there to do that. So it like actually works well.
I know what you mean about having a place where you're only there to do something.
But that's kind of the mindset that you're involved with. Like, you're there only to play your songs, like when you're at that building. So but even then, it's still hard, because we rehearse, and then like the sound was a little weird and it threw us off, and we still kind of like, it's like, even after all the most best laid plans,
right,
you can still be like, that show was kind of a C-.
I think
what I mean?
I think it still comes back to like, why are you doing it in the first place? So so you spent what, 6 rehearsals for a show, right?
Yeah, and just getting back into the swing in general. Yeah.
So what got to me after playing? I mean, there was one year where I played 150 shows.
Wow.
And what happened? Yeah, well, that comes with a cost, though, too, to your life and your time. But there was one year I played that many, and I just didn't feel like I was getting anything done. And so what became important to me was actually recording something, changing what you had left behind. And so I'm honestly really not show centered at all at this point.
Well, that's good. I heard your posts that had to do with sleep projections leaning that way too. You guys like said, I heard you guys on Jimmy Fro Indie Music Show saying stuff like that. You were like, hey, we're not gonna like spin our wheels, in so many words you said.
Right.
Like, we're gonna produce music.
Yeah. I mean,
that's smart.
The chances of me playing a show that'll give us the time and money we need to record are so small nowadays that I'd rather just use that same time actually recording.
Right. And I think you're right, because at the end of the day, what we actually have, I'm chasing my dog around.
Jeremy is biting our feet while we're recording this.
As usual, listeners.
Jeremy, you want to get in on this?
Yeah, man, come here. You want attention or what? Or you just want to tease us? I read about pugs online, and it said like they tease. Like it said in like somewhere like Wikipedia type page, they were like, pugs like to tease and nap. And I was like, okay, that's right.
It's like a little gremlin.
Yeah. Buddy, no biting. I know, it's funny. It's hilarious that you're oh God, you little jerk. All right.
See, that's the thing, is he's too fast.
I know he is. He loves it too. He's just teases. I'm gonna hold on to him. But yeah, at the end of the day, regardless of whatever else we do, all we have is our albums. Like the shows are great and it's cool, and like that's the way to maybe make some money back and whatever. But at the end of the day, it really, the writing is what matters.
It became important to me one day when I was getting sentimental and looking back on stuff I did and realizing that my own personal influence and my own personal amount of writing credits felt a lot lower than I thought it was in my head.
Right.
So I really wanted to focus on that. And sleep projections, we got into this weird funk where we did this CS Arts project, and it ended up being better than what we were working on after it. So we just wanted to let it stand on its own. And then not everybody was on board to keep moving the way we were. So we moved Downlows to Boardman, and then that's when we teamed up with Sam Austin.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to hear that project overall. What I was kind of getting at when I started giving your history leading up to it, to Downlows, is that I was going to ask you what it was like to have the influence of comedy on music and vice versa, if that at all registers for you.
So I'm mediocre at both, I feel. And so the way you get around that kind of thing where you can sort of peek into greatness is with preparation and planning and practice. I mean, in order for me to come in and contribute in the studio, I'm going to spend probably 3 to 5 hours each week by myself practicing it before I put it in front of somebody else. Yeah. And I did that with comedy too. And I really think that there's two kinds of musicians and two kinds of comedians. The kinds of people that are naturally talented and just blow you away with whatever they do. And then the other people that are talented but really have to work at it to get those same heights. And I feel that way for myself about level 2. I'll always come in prepared. I'll always come in rehearsed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those are really the lessons that are the same in both.
Well, that's an interesting thing to hear, because I feel that you're one of the few people in this area that parallels my life, because I like to dabble in comedy and music at the same time too. And I do feel exactly the same way. Like, I feel like, oh, you actually have to... I remember somebody saying to me after they saw our online bullskit stuff, they were like, you guys got a lot of time on your hands, man. And I wanted to be like, all of us work like 40 hours a week, and like,
yeah, man,
and like,
I feel you on that.
And we worked really hard, and really, no matter even if they come out kind of dumb, like, we actually worked hard and probably put the equivalent of about 5 or 6 hours into counting the editing into this dumb little 3-minute skit. You know what I mean? It's like, right. It's funny. It's funny how much work it takes to just be okay at like things like that and stuff like that.
You're your own worst critic at the same time too, but I really,
of course,
I don't know. I feel like the confidence has to do a lot with the success of both, also.
Yeah.
And I definitely have that more when I am rehearsed.
That's good, yeah. And I'm sure, I don't know if you're like me, but it seems that drawn into this entire little like community of social anti-socialites that are artists around here.
Can you say that again? I really like that.
Yeah. Like you and I are drawn into a community of anti-socialites that are artists in Ohio, and I feel that a lot of us have confidence issues.
That is actually a huge theme on the upcoming album.
Oh, really?
That's
confidence.
That's funny that you got in, or fake confidence.
Okay.
Also.
Interesting.
There's a cool track called Rust Belt Lights that is basically about that, like the idea that I might not be huge in a big city, but I'm definitely huge here. I'm walking out with that kind of saunter. You see it, I see it.
Yeah, sure. That's really cool thing to write a song about, because I've heard a few. I don't know. I couldn't name them now, but some famous critics or artists propose the theory that people write the same song their whole lives, and to an extent. And like, I wonder if you look back on any past work, if that theme has ever come up before, if you're trying to turn a corner on purpose. Because when I look back at all my stuff, I see childhood over and over and over again. Like, there's almost nothing else. And I think that I've been diverse. I feel that every song's different, but then when I look back, it all like runs together. It's funny how, with what limitations you work with, even if you really try to be different, how much the same comes out. You know.
So that's cool. Yeah, and I understand
in a good way.
I'm one of those people that is motivated almost entirely by emotion to do music. But I wish mine was childhood. I've got regret is a real big theme for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I have like regrets like every couple of years in my life about something that I either have nightmares about or feel guilty about, and that really pushes its way out. Mm-hmm. And then love is really my other one.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. That's really what my whole life is about at this point. I went immediately from touring to the next year getting married, buying a house, and then starting to take my career seriously. So as that stuff changes, and there's different kinds of love. It's not always the see a pretty girl in a red dress kind of love.
Sure.
Those are definitely my two biggest themes that follow me around.
Does that yield like, does that make sad lyrics and stuff sometimes? Does it turn into like, not sad as in like that's so depressing, but like romantic?
Yeah,
like that
yeah, you're ringing. I mean, that's definitely what this album's about. Jesse has a good saying where it's it's an album about love with no love songs on it.
No, that's a good way to put it. I'm sure I haven't heard it yet, but I trust in knowing your demeanor and knowing your creative process from the past.
I have some.
That's how it is. Oh, that's cool. Can I play some on this episode if you email them later?
Yeah.
Right now we're gonna play one, guys.
Let's take the time to find out what's inside. In spite of all the wind and the rain, she did arrive. The fire lights her eyes. The clock, it ticked and it talked.
And we're back. And then I was going to ask you, so yes, some sad lyrics and this and that. I've known your demeanor. I've traveled with you before to like go do like studio things and fun things like that. And you're a really fun person to spend time with in general, let alone travel and stuff.
I had no idea that was on the back camera.
Is it? What is that?
The
on
whole
your
thing.
phone?
Yeah, it's a live broadcast. There's
Nice.
3 people. Michael Burry just joined.
Hey guys. Guys, check out thirdclass.net. Listen to Nursery podcasts. Murad's going to be on later, in at least before March 25th. So keep an eye. Yeah. So I was going to ask you this: you're a fun person to spend time with. Now that you're a family man, businessman, is that the same? Are you more serious these days?
I lost a lot of friends. I mean, I'll be completely honest. They say when you have a child that stuff changes. Mm-hmm. So Brooke, my wife, who people might know from the Oakland Center for the Arts, she was president there. Brooke really legitimately lost like half of her friends because her life changed so much. And then my amount of time that I just went out decreased, so you'd be surprised the amount of acquaintances that goes
that
down.
go away.
Yeah.
You see, I guess it's almost sexist for me to say this, but I always expect the wife to keep the friends because they're all women are just more romantic sometimes, like straight women than straight men sometimes can be more romantic. But now that I think about Brooke, in a very unique way, her friends may have been more rock and roll than yours.
Oh yeah,
you know, like
Brooke
funny.
Brooke was way cooler than I.
Right.
I mean,
and
yeah,
like,
I totally married up in that scenario.
and it's funny because I guess it's wrong for me to like just classify, but some women I know have women friends. I don't know. They don't lose them as fast as the guy friends. The guy friends are always so mean about it. They're like, "Oh, you're not cool anymore. What is she better than you know?" And they pull that.
I mean,
I've
I've done that shit to people too.
I know, I have too.
You know what I mean?
No, I do not exclude
let's
myself.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Many a great man has been foiled by a mediocre girlfriend or wife.
Yeah, and people are just like, "What do you think who you think you are? You think she's better than?" And like the guys actually are the ones that act mean and leave. Like so, like. And I'm not saying that everybody else's friends were mean. I just mean
I'm
like
30,
yeah.
I'm 33 now, and I have 3 very close friends. So I consider myself lucky because I don't know if everybody has that really.
Yeah. Not many.
No.
Not many. I've seen a lot of people speak of coworkers or like acquaintances the way you're talking about your friends right now.
Yeah. Really?
And I'm just like, oh man, I got life good.
I mean, and also in my younger days, I was divisive. And so, like, that plays into the regrets card, but things are what they are.
That's cool, man. I mean, like you mentioned, you're your own worst critic. I'm sure it's not as bad as you say it is, but you just got to be hard on yourself. Yeah. And I'm the same way. I mean, I was talking to Ellen about the show we played, and I was like, man, we sucked, huh? And she was like, yeah. I mean, she's like, it just like the sound was weird and the drumming was a little off here and there, and she was like, it was fine. And I was like, we suck now. Should we just quit? You know, it's like I turned into that guy after every slight misstep.
You do.
Every time.
Yeah, no, third class can't quit.
But it's funny that you say that because like we kind of, I mean, I guess I shouldn't get it. We're just okay, you know. Like that's what I think. That's what a lot of people don't get is like just longevity is like what's on most bands' side. I'm not talking about Ohio. I'm talking about everybody.
Recordings have gotten better though, don't you?
Sure.
think?
Oh yeah, of course. But I'm talking about every band in the whole world. I'm talking about Coldplay. I'm talking about Aerosmith. I'm talking about the long-lasting like. They have as many flaws in them as a lot of local bands I see, and they just keep going and become legendary because they kept going. So is that a bad way to keep?
I think that comes back to your motivation of why do you do music?
I'm hoping that it just like basically gets somebody to step off the stool when they hear it. You know, that's kind of
really
yeah, that's the main reason.
I definitely am not like you, so I wish it was like that. I have like a compulsion. It's I've always had it. My earliest memory is sitting underneath my mom's piano while she played. I grew up in a musical household. My mom pushed me into that stuff, so it's just always been something that I've done, and I feel not productive and like I'm not succeeding in life if I'm not working on something creative.
Right. Well, I mean, I would probably make the argument that underneath that is the need to connect with somebody, but maybe I'm wrong on that. That's what I always thought music kind of was, and that's why I answered the way I did with the stepping off the stool thing, is because I felt like it doesn't have to be worded the way I worded it, but I always felt that I understand that you getting pushed into it might not have so much to do with it, but the compulsion side of it,
I don't know.
But maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
My big motivation is just trying to leave something behind that was representative of who I was as a person.
Right. But like, to what end? What does that help anybody with? Like, there must be a feeling somebody gets that helps.
Yeah. But it's definitely so still introverted that I wasn't just another person who blinked by in time. You know what I mean? So
I see. Yeah.
Something will outlast me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Because some people are comforted by the opposite notion. Obviously, they're just like, I hope no trace. You know?
Oh yeah,
that
would be the worst death.
I see what you're saying. Okay, well some of the stuff you're saying I find synonymous with what I said, but I understand that you're saying maybe it goes in a different way from there. But what kind of people were drawn to you then, as far as friends? You mentioned 3 close friends. Like, what kind of people become close friends with Murad?
People with patience and tolerance. I'm not easy to be around either, which is difficult. So that's a key trait. And then people that I respect, and then share interests with.
Well, you seem like the life of the party to me in a lot of scenarios. You don't feel that way?
I don't feel.
Not at all.
Yeah, I guess, but it's sometimes that party goes to places where it's not invited.
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder if like Sleep Productions and Downlows have taken you to a place where you're allowed to explore your dark side all the more, and now this is why. And you're more grown up, and you're and you're like now the side of you that's not like. I guess you were never like, even your comedy was dark.
Yeah,
but like I always thought
I've never really been like a ball of sunshine.
Yeah. I shouldn't use that you were a ball of sunshine before, but I guess like the jokes have fallen away and you're on the more serious side of art now, right?
I started writing stand-up again, actually.
Did you?
Interesting. But where the hell am I going to do it?
It's hard to find
There's
around
none.
here. Yeah.
There is. I might as well just tell it to my friends and coworkers.
And you know what, man? I recently, with a couple guys from Bullskit, went to the Comedy Cellar in New York, where they work out stuff. Yeah. And even then, apparently in the middle of the hype machine of where great comedy comes from, I was still like, these guys are okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel you on the front of booking around here in general.
I honestly really just don't see the point to shows for now.
Yeah.
For now, I feel much more satisfied with the fact that we are creating a 10-song album that we did everything ourselves, and at the same time opened up a recording studio.
Right. Well, I mean, I played a few shows that I was a little bit. I shouldn't say that I'm not acting like I was above the venue I went to or anything. They were all fine. But I played a few shows that I kind of maybe wouldn't have chosen otherwise to make money back for our album last year. I don't know if that makes it like, oh, it's impure now or what. But like I did that to make back our record money. And I don't know if that's a good reason or if that's just making me jaded. You know what I mean? Like, would you ever put shows in that category? Would that ruin the purity of it?
I've played shows that I was embarrassed to have played. You know what I mean? I've played at places that I was embarrassed to have played at, either because I put myself in that situation or because something misrepresented itself that I should have seen. I remember one time I played in Philadelphia, and we played at this club that was the #1 dive bar in Philly. And I'm like, all right, yeah, the #1 dive bar in Philly. No, it just meant it was the shittiest bar in Philly.
Yeah.
It was the shittiest bar in Philadelphia. And sometimes just playing a show to say you play a show just ended up emotionally tolling on me. Whereas recording a song to say you recorded a song never ever did that.
You're right.
Never ever did that. And it just came down to my motivation as to why am I playing music. Mm-hmm. I don't want people to think I'm cool because I'm not really cool. I don't want people to think I'm a genius because I'm not really a genius. I want to play music to do something greater than myself and to leave an imprint about how I felt about something at a certain time.
Well, that's fair enough, and it makes sense. Sometimes I come at the shows that I believe you're describing in Philly with a conquering attitude, as if to say, if we play at this bar that usually wants Freebird, and we just go anyways, and we win them over.
But isn't that what like third class is, though? Like, aren't you representative of that spirit?
Yeah, sure, but I mean, is that bad to walk in there all optimistic when you know it's almost impossible?
I don't know, man. I don't think I have control over my emotions like that.
Or you mean to say that you would immediately be negative about it? Or
I don't think I'd be negative about it, but I think it would like hurt my feelings
to see the crowd not react or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, because my motivators are all almost entirely emotional. It's a real bad when you hold up the mirror of yourself and you're not even looking at yourself back.
Check this out, man. This is so your motivation for music has more an introverted style than my answer. But
I'm
check
not
this
trying
out.
to be
no.
introverted,
But check this out, though. This is what's weird is that the show I'm describing last night was a PA show. Venue was fine. They were all cool people, but whatever. But the people there would have rather there been a DJ. Like, it didn't matter who was up there. It didn't matter who they were. They should be playing covers or DJ. But the owner had a flair for original. You know, it's always, that's the story, right? It's always the owner, like, I like original music. So Ellen, I asked my wife Ellen about it. I was like, what do you think was going on? And she kept saying, don't worry that the crowd didn't react to you. Don't worry. And I was like, I don't care that they did. It's funny. I'm like on the opposite end of the spectrum than you in that regard. Like, it's funny, for our causal reason for playing music, we're flipped. But for this, like, you actually are reacting to the audience more. I couldn't have cared less. She was like, they didn't care and didn't applaud. Didn't your feelings get hurt? And I was like, not even a little bit. I couldn't have cared less. Like, we played the best we've ever played our song "A Drug Inside Your Wrist" ever that night.
Really?
Like, it was just the most nailed version of it of all time. It rocked so hard. I did my little ending on the keyboard where I flipped down the keys and let the keyboard rock, and it rocked like halfway down to the ground and back. And it came back, and it was like just the perfect, and no one, not even our friends, clapped. And that's how I know that stuff just sometimes doesn't matter, and it's not you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, oh, we were just so great, but I'm saying,
You're tougher than me.
dude, that stuff, it's funny, that stuff doesn't bother me because of last year. I played so many, like, small venues playing solo shows of third class.
Right.
Where people weren't watching me, that I know that it's not my fault anymore. I know that, like if that helps you at all, but like, I do not care. And I started playing whole sets where I did not break, so that they couldn't clap.
No kidding.
Yeah. I just kept going and just flowed the songs in the same key or same rhythm together and forgot it. You know, and
that just gets so, to me, when you say that just gets back to the argument of why do you play shows?
Yeah, you're right. You've got a total point there, but there is one person in the back of the room who cares.
Yeah.
That's why.
I think, so you asked about how my life has changed since I've been in business.
Yeah.
So I'm in a weird spot at work where I'm really crazy young. Most of the people that are in my role are in their mid-40s or early 50s. Yeah, and then I'm in the other end where I'm doing art, and I'm on the other end of the spectrum where I'm sort of older. Yeah. So in order for me to do both, it's really forced me to budget time where I can tell you either every Wednesday or Thursday or every Saturday or Sunday I'm going to spend 3 hours at the studio. I don't think I could have the time to do both, to record and play shows. So it turns into a prioritization for me.
Well, I'm with you in the sense that that's a higher priority to me too. Writing and recording is way more important because the people that do care will seek you out and listen. I think you're right on that. But there's always that, if you ever, down the line, if you guys play a show or two, I'm watching the person in the back tap their foot. They're there. Yeah. They're there, and they become your hardcore fans.
I should one at a time. I should have you over for motivational speech.
Yeah. For what though? When you look at then like I try to, you're like, what's he done? And I try to deliver like proof of that, and I'm like, look, I made 5 new fans in the last 5 years.
So, yeah, that's not true.
But you know what I'm saying.
I think you're having a hard time seeing yourself for who you are versus.
But
you've been in one band for 13 years. That's very respectable. I've been in a half a dozen bands in that same time period.
But when you see people like, it's a weird example, but I've been on this lately. Chris Ballou from The Presidents, the bald dude.
Yeah.
He does his thing, Casper Baby Pants children's music, and he does Presidents, and I see all that, and I see it all, this little flash in the pan of like his life, and it's all one thing to me. And that's how I feel about you. I know not everyone will think that, but Sleep Projections fans will be drawn to Downlows, and they'll be drawn, and maybe Zoo was drawn to Sleep, blah blah blah. Yeah. So there's something to be said about taking the same energy across the board.
Some people still think I'm in the Zoo. I see people pretty frequently that still think I'm in the Zoo.
I know that's partially because there's a rotating cast, and so they assume, like, because they see other people here and there and stuff. But what kind of imprint has that had, like, on your life? How do you feel about earlier projects such as that? From that all the way back to when you played in East Palestine.
I think I think playing in the Zoo was sort of what has spurned my want to record.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I did a marathon playing in that band. The amount of things that we did. Yet we only had 2 albums put out in that time period, and I was still playing sets that were a majority before I was in the band, and I didn't really feel like the stuff that we were recording had a lot of me in it. So I wanted to make sure that after that it was more representative of myself, even just time-wise budgeting, because that was hard on me, not recording often in that time period.
And you became, based on the Zoo and maybe prior things, more one of those really valuable members of Northeast Ohio who has a business head on them and a creative head. Like you said, I remember you saying this to me, that if bands never worked out, you'd get into booking. Like, you're one of those rare breeds that can be punctual, can like pay attention to like this and that, and write and play music.
Yeah, I mean, structure is always necessary in really everything. I mean, that's even something I'm drawn to in music itself. Actual verse, chorus, bridge. I mean, that's just one of my strengths. And I really enjoyed with the Zoo. I mean, we went on 13 tours to 28 states, the majority of which I booked. We did the Nouveau Rock Music Festival and Art Show, which I was event director of, and that was the stuff that I really enjoyed most in the band. But I just wanted to record more. And after Harrison was born, and touring was just still ever present versus recording, that's when I made my decision to exit. And then I went immediately into Sleep Projections, which the following year put out that album, and then now we're a year from that, and Downlows will have out an album. So feeling awesome. Good about the output. Yeah, it's a big change to go from a band that when we played at the House of Blues, we played outside at Vex Fest for multiple years, that had a built-in following, to being on the other side where you're sort of like purposely obscure. Sure. And so that's been a real big adjustment. And, quite honestly, we didn't pull very much from the Zoo as far as like listenership either, which I think in the end is going to end up being a good thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't want to sound derivative or even related, because it really isn't.
No, I don't think it is. The only thing I relate is like your energy. I think that people, if they're in Youngstown, they pay attention a little, and they see that you're in a band, they perk up or something like that. That's all I mean.
That's how I feel about Jesse in this project, honestly.
Yeah, I feel that way about him too. Yeah,
and this is definitely our best working relationship that we ever had. Jesse and I understand each other in a way that I don't think other people can understand. I mean, he's just like me. He's abrasive and difficult to work with at times. I mean, it's true. At least we know that about ourselves.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man.
Yeah, but we get along real well on this. Yeah. And then he's got a real ear for the type of hip-hop, R&B, I keep saying Michael Jackson because he's like our touchstone for this project kind of sound that we would like to do. And his singing is really improved as well on this album.
Is it like, can I name like New Edition and stuff like, is it like,
I mean, I wish we were like that.
Not as cool as that.
So here's, okay, so let me tell you the makeup, and that'll make it. Yeah. So we're just done with drums. We have no luck with drummers or drum sets. So we're just using Jesse's skill to do drum programming, which is excellent. It's very keyboard led. It really showcases Jesse on keyboard. The true instruments you're going to hear are going to be guitar and bass, some violin, some winds, stuff like that. And then the real focus is on singing. So everybody sings lead sometime over it. A guy sing lead on 4 songs. Jesse sings lead on 3 songs. Sam's on 1. Sandy is all over this thing. And it's really melody driven, but not bluesy at all. So definitely like more toward the jazz side of things.
Well, that's cool.
Did I just say a bunch of words and confuse you?
A little, but that's okay.
I'll try. I mean, I guess that's sort of...
What am I going to know till I hear it, though? It's okay.
Yeah, I will play it for you. I guess that's sort of the thing about it is not being assigned to an instrument role really released us of constraints. Yeah. Because I can sing well, but when I'm playing a bass, I can't sing as well as if I'm not playing a bass, and vice versa. So we really sort of embrace that kind of thing.
And that's cool. And like going back to my writing the same song your whole life theory, I'm sure that if I hear you in any recording, there'll be little lines I can draw that are positive. Like, well,
I mean, there's a lot of we definitely sound like ourselves. Almost.
Right. And how can you not? I feel like there's only a little 20% area where people can move within, change a little bit and this and that. But to get off of like analyzing music, because I know that both of us tend to do that. In Ohio in general, just being here with like your pets, your kid, your wife, with your house and the landscape, what's do you ever want to leave, or do you like love it here? Like, are you like over the moon about being here, or are you just kind of like, what is this place? Like, there's two Ohioans,
I go through waves because I travel for work. I spent 8 weeks in Philadelphia last year. I alternately go between being happy that I live here because I can have the kind of life I do here, and then being upset that I live here because I'm depriving myself of a lot of resources.
Okay.
Whether it be culturally or economically, those kind of things. I don't know what's going to happen to me, man. I think that I'll either keep moving up the rails and work like I have, and I'll get forced out, or I'll find something cushy and then stay this person for the rest of my life. So I don't know if there's any in between, honestly.
That's pretty cool, man. I like that. And then just to close us out, do you have anything you'd like to say to my mother, our listener?
I remember the first time I met you. You were selling merch for Third Class, and Lee introduced you as the person who looks like me with a gray wig on, and pointed at you.
She remembers that too.
And you were right, though.
Yeah,
that was the thing. I mean, you look exactly like your mom.
I know.
But other than that, did your roof ever get damaged from your kids running all over it for their videos? I've always been curious about that.
Yeah, I'll answer that for her. I think to an extent it did, but it was weird because it came to a point where we tried to sell that house for a while, so she ended up having to spruce it up regardless. Right. So we had to like get a new roof, paint it, and blah blah.
No
blah.
more shooting videos of hitting things with golf clubs.
That did not end at all. That's what's funny is like you'd think that'd be like no more, but we've just been up there recently. We go up there and hang out still, man. Nothing has changed. I need to grow up.
Yeah, your life and my life are much different.
I need to grow up, man. It's funny. I think the only thing we have in common is that we both work a lot and work hard. But that's about it. Because I know, man, like when you come over here, you probably think you're like, oh, look at them. They're just like little kids still. And it's funny because but I'm saying like that's how I feel about myself sometimes when I look at my friends, because I feel like you do. I feel like I'm old to the music scene and young to the workforce. Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird feeling.
You are representative of a way I think that we all feel sometimes.
Right. And I think in your 30s, a lot of people feel that way, man. I mean, a lot of them feel young to the, what should I say? Not creative scene if you're not a creative person listening to this, but say young to like what's happening in the world and old to like your job. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, flip. Did I say that right? Yeah. Flip it. Old to what's happening in the world, young in your job. Yeah. Yeah. That's how I feel because I work in a warehouse and I'm the youngest one there.
In a seniority-based warehouse?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. The people there that are in their 50s that are just getting day turn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right, man. It's funny. And I started actually doing some other odd jobs and stuff, so it's interesting. But I do like Ohio a lot, but I'm a little bit scared of change too. So I'm kind of one of those dumb like devil's advocate people when like friends or family say they're moving. I'm always like, why? Everything's fine.
Yeah. One of the so here's, I guess if you're asking about the young something, is this permanent cheerleader syndrome where everything is great here, I just don't think is realistic. And,
you're
those
probably
people
right.
I think do more harm than good nowadays.
Yeah, you're probably right. I heard somebody recently talk about East Palestine, and it was nice because they were just saying it was improving because there's a lot of small businesses that are kind of starting to work there, and so there was that regard. But then I guess there's another regard where people act like this place is paradise, which I'm guilty of sometimes, which probably doesn't help because it sounds like you're trying to hold somebody down and keep them from leaving.
Dude, I'm from the north side, so you got the strip of mansions, and then the block behind it is where I got robbed. You know what I mean? So you just have to look at things how they really are. So I guess in regard to this area, if you want to live here, awesome. But if you're a permanent cheerleader about it, you're actually making it worse.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, guys, so signing off. Look, Mom, we're on a podcast. This is Lee Boyle.
I'm Murad Shorrab.
And everybody have a great day.